Welcome to Chasing Epiphanies, where typically knowledge is power, but on this special occasion, we're exploring the power of imagination. For you see, today, we're looking at the first novel in Terry Pratchett's highly acclaimed Discworld series, The Color of Magic. The tale starts in the city of Ankh-Morpork, to which a ship has just brought its very first tourist from a distant continent. With him he brings a large sapient treasure chest that walks around on numerous little legs, carrying around immense amounts of gold. We learn this tourist's name is Twoflower, as he meets with our highly inept hero, Rincewind. Now, Rincewind is a man who got expelled from the unseen University of Wizardry due to peeking at some forbidden texts, rendering him incapable of using any magic at all except for one spell that, for all he knows, could end the entire world. And speaking of the world, it's a literal disc, as the name of the series implies, carried on the backs of 4 elephants that in turn are carried through space by a galactic turtle. Being an astronomer in this world must either absolutely suck, or it's the most exciting thing ever. Meanwhile, back in ye old classic fantasy tavern, upon realizing that Twoflower has no idea how valuable gold is in Ankh-Morpork, Rincewind offers to be the man's guide so he can get severely overpaid by his new eccentric employer. What follows is a whimsical journey into high fantasy and British humor, with Rincewind and Twoflower traveling the world, stumbling into all sorts of trouble, while being stalked by the literal embodiment of death no less. It's one of Rincewind's few skills. He can see death and converse with him, as well as see octarine, an impossible greenish-purple color that signifies that there's magic in the air. I probably should have seen it coming, but I was still surprised to see that there's barely anything resembling a plot in this. It's a buddy adventure, told in an episodic format, each of the 4 chapters representing a self-contained story along their journey. The thing about episodic stuff, however, is that much like an anthology, the overall quality will depend on how many good episodic stories you have to tell. The first chapter was probably my least favorite, as it was overcrowded with characters that you don't know if they'll be worth remembering. Though I did like Rincewind and Twoflower's interactions here, their initial moments of culture shock, while dodging thieves and bandits that are after Twoflower's luggage. The second chapter takes us on a dungeon crawl, and pretty early on, it becomes apparent that this chapter is a Lovecraft parody, of sorts. It's the most recognizable reference, and if I had been a reader back in the 80s when this came out, maybe I would have thought it was hilarious. But if I'm being honest, some jokes in this book don't feel like jokes, just plain randomness. The world sometimes bends over backwards to push in references or world-altering events out of nowhere. I mean, honestly, what's so great about random... Why is there a banana on my head?
Look into my eyes. Look up. There is the vast infinity of the sky. Look down. There is an ant on the path you walk upon. To the planet you are small, yet to the end you are massive with the sky. We're all small to someone, yet as great as gods to others. Perspective, rest, perspective. All hail the Venezuelan Empire. Presentation, representation. All hail and worship me. Star of the Spanish guitar. President of gold hands. And the god of guilty pleasures.
The third chapter brings us into conflict with a group of dragon riders, nestled into an upside-down mountain. This is where I'd say things start to pick up more, as we get more interesting concepts and world building. For example, the dragons around the Wormberg, as the mountain is called, are magic projections of the riders' minds. The more your imagination can grasp the concept of a dragon, the better it takes form in the physical world. You might call this a form of Platonic idealism, a philosophical concept that imagines the physical world as a lesser version of the true world of ideas, where everything exists in their purest form. It's similar to ideas I've seen in other fantasy stories as well, where knowing something's true name gives you power over it. And frankly, it's one of my preferred types of magic systems, since this way, every spell can reflect the imagination and intellect of the characters. Finally, we arrive at the 4th and final chapter, which brings us close to the world's edge, and it's by far my favorite part. It's got the most creative use of magic, the stakes are high, the jokes don't feel as random, the world building is a delight to read, the characters are pushed to their limits, and the story, while still having some bits of parody in it, still feels authentic. What I mean is that this adventure didn't happen just to parody something else. It felt like it actually made sense that this story would happen in a Discworld setting, exploring the edges of the world. Overall, it's an awesome note to end on, except it ends on a goddamn cliffhanger. I guess that's just what I get for going blind into this series. If my research is correct, the second novel, The Light Fantastic, should tie things up a bit better. As I understand it, once Terry Pratchett knew that he was going to dedicate himself to writing about this world, his books became more focused and just better in general. Seems I'll just have to read the next one eventually and see for myself. So, till next time, always remember, imagination is sexy, so be the sexy you. Read a book. Oh wait! Maybe if I just use the power of imagination, I could magically learn the story of the next book. Azabaza Zimzala Cliffhangers! No, bloody hell!